Let's explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Video.
The day's journey back home, and you open the bag and you're like, this is a cat. That cat's having a bad day. They're like, what the
She pitches all the way across, like from the
way in Harold.
Yeah, here's something like, have you seen this?
Whoa. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. That's weird. That's not what we're supposed to look like. Welcome to Alphas Make Sandwiches. We have a fun show planned today. We are joined by the great, amazing Holly Kester out of Georgia. So we're going to talk about Georgia elections and all kinds of fun stuff. Holly joined us on Why We Vote on Friday as well. We had a good time. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
a little cold, but all right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's like 85 here. Sorry, guys.
Shut up.
Golly.
How is it in Savannah?
It's pretty chilly right now. We're definitely not in flip-flop weather.
Any snow or ice or anything?
No, we didn't get any of that. I mean, the frost or whatever, but yeah, no snow or ice. Of course, we're looking for it. They're calling for it on Saturday. They're saying, oh, you're going to get snow on Saturday. But, they said that last weekend too, and we didn't get it. Moved a little bit north. It's fun to have and see though. Although we don't get the really pretty snow where, it's thick and layers up. We don't get that.
Are you guys seeing those videos? Sorry.
No, you go.
The videos of people like crushing up the snow and burning it, and it's burning black and not melting and all that craziness in like the southern states. Okay.
Find that. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Jackie, how are things in Cobb?
So we're right now at 32 degrees. It feels like 21 outside. So it is pretty chilly out. We didn't get snow or anything like that. It really did just it was just rain for the most part. It did freeze on the trees, so you could see the trees like starting to like sway over. But as the day kept going, it really didn't drop below freezing, so it melted. And so by the end of the day, you could see all the ice just sliding off the trees. And I don't think it really froze. Like, I think most of the water was off the trees, so it didn't weigh much of anything down. So that was good.
That is good. I learned about exploding trees for the first time ever.
Me too.
Right? That's horrifying. And really sad. At first, it's like, oh, haha, exploding trees. And then you realize that, trees are alive and they're like, it's probably painful for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I found
borax when you need them.
He's probably bundled up somewhere hibernating. No, and then there's the weight of the ice just splitting trees in half is crazy. It's just it just goes like boop,
like a big zipper. Just
unzip the tree. But I think they were saying the exploding ones, you don't see it as much. You can hear it, but you don't find out until, like Michelle was saying, until the next year or the next season that they died, which is sad.
Which is so sad.
Yeah.
I hated that because I felt like kind of a dick, right? Because I was laughing at first at the whole idea of exploding trees, and then Michelle was like, "This is actually we need to mourn our tree," and I was like, "Oh man." And it's sad at the end of the day. Naturally, Nikki in chat says, we're buried in frozen rain. It's not real snow. It's tiny balls of ice piled about 3 inches now, compacted. It's scary as shit on the roads.
She's in Mississippi.
I saw a post, and I forget which police department it was from, but it was from a police department. It was like, here's the difference between sleet and freezing rain. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's like, here's the difference between freet and freezing rain is what I just said. Sleet and freezing rain, with an example that has nothing to do with police work, and they showed donuts. So the freezing rain donut was the glazed. It was freezing rain was like glazed, smooth, clear ice, right? Like a smooth, slick ice surface. And the sleet was the little balls. It was sprinkles on the donut that they had. So naturally, Nikki, I think you might be misusing the term frozen rain potentially, based on the donut analogy I saw on the internet. It's very official.
Sleazy rain. That paints a
sleazy
wild
rain
Sleazy.
with freet and sleazy rain.
I don't know if sleazy rain would be hot or cold. I'm not
like
sure.
it would be hot.
You're right, sleazy
Don't you
rain. Maybe I don't know.
almost.
Yeah.
Holly's like, why the hell did I join this show? Before we get too far along, we're going to talk about one of our sponsors. And it's us. We're going to talk about us. Happy New Year, Badlands family. Let's kick off the golden age with unstoppable action as your favorite Badlands show wraps up. Dive right into the Badlands shop, where we've created curated top-notch sponsors and exclusive deals just for you. From premium USA-made health supplements and grass-fed meats to bold patriotic apparel, secure tech gear, and veteran-owned coffee, we've got everything to power your fresh New Year's resolutions. Whether it's on-air spotlights or daily essentials, shopping here is easy, smart, and impactful. Every dollar you spend fuels freedom backing patriot family businesses and creators who share our values. You're not just getting great gear, you're strengthening the movement that keeps Badlands Media thriving. Thank you for supporting businesses that support Badlands Media. Head over now to badlandsmedia.tv/shop and click shop on the main menu of badlandsmedia.tv. Let's make 2026 legendary. And one of my favorite things, I love how our ad team is focused and dedicated to American small businesses. That's who we have supporting. And we don't have big, massive financial backers and donors. We have you guys buying from American small businesses, and that's what keeps Badlands Media on the air. So please head over to badlandsmedia.tv/shop and support American businesses. We're also going to talk about soft disclosure. Speaking of American businesses, because when you buy soft disclosure, you are supporting 5 American small businesses. With every purchase, you're force multiplying your dollars 5 times across the American economy. And we are getting ready at some point this week to launch our Valentine's Day bundles, which is going to expand it to a sixth American business, which we're really excited about. So here is soft disclosure.
I don't say this lightly. This lotion changes people.
My knuckles would actually start to crack. Started using the soft disclosure lotion, and I am very impressed. Even within just a few days, I've noticed a tremendous difference.
That's not a script. That's what happens when something actually works.
It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Yeah, that line keeps coming up. Because when you don't use it, your skin starts acting up.
Every single ingredient in soft disclosure is intentionally chosen. There's no filler ingredients. It is not like this BS product where they have a bunch of ingredients. Every ingredient listed is for a purpose.
Over 65-star reviews for the lotion alone. Not influencers, not actors, just people whose skin finally shut up. Soft disclosure lotion. Once you try it, you'll understand why people won't stop talking about it. Visit softdisclosure.com and use code BADLANDS and get 10% off.
Brian in the sky is literally my favorite thing. So funny. I do actually think this lotion is making my hands look younger. You know how that's the thing with women and aging is you can do the face, you can tighten and nip and tuck and do all of the things, but your hands don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
I think soft disclosure goat's milk. It's the combination of the American goats and the American oil blends coming together into a fountain of youth, I think. So everybody head over to softdisclosure.com, promo code Badlands. And I have confirmation that 2 of our soft disclosure goats are pregnant. And the third one is likely going to be pregnant before she comes back, which means in 5 months, I'm told that goats are almost exact on their gestational periods.
So in 5 months, we're making a trip to Willow Wind Farm, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and I'm talking to Annie now about maybe getting a baby goat cam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
Baby
do
goat.
have permission to put them in pajamas, so I will definitely be putting them in pajamas for everybody's enjoyment. And if you love baby goats, buy Soft Disclosure, softdisclosure.com, promo code Badlands. So that's going to be a lot of fun. This summer is going to be.
We should make a
lit.
vote or a poll on what we should name them. If that's
Yeah.
up for options.
Yeah, we don't get that choice. Annie is very particular about how she names her animals. It's actually pretty cool. I did get to name the baby Lana though, but only because I proposed a name that was within her framework of how she wanted to name, and she chose the one. Her name.
We need to have her give us a breakdown of her framework and why she chooses to name goats, because I would like to know.
She's very particular. I seriously doubt she would let us name them, but we can try. We'll see what happens. She's very those animals are family, you know. It's all very particular. Okay. Will you ladies please write and record a song titled Baby Goats? Well, we need Abbey. Abby's the singer.
Exactly. I think that's why you said it.
Yeah. Because we don't have a singer here.
No, because Abbey is part of our team. So
yeah.
with Abbey as our team leader, with that, we could get our own baby goat song.
Yeah, she had to run Alaskan errands today, which of course means, dog sleds and bush planes and stuff. So she missed the show today, but I think we'll be back together tonight on Culture of Change. Let's get into it and start with something from our camera roll.
Yeah, you missed that last week. We added music to our.
I saw it.
Okay, you did. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yes. Okay. So the challenge for last week was to use a leading line to kind of lead you to your subject, and it didn't have to be outside.
This video down here.
Yes, the one that's my screen share. Yeah, perfect. So this video, and I'll actually lower it because it's kind of loud. Find the leading line, turn it upside down, point it, or lead us down that path, and then focus on the whites. It'll change the mood of the photo.
You're cool. I could not get my phone when I turned it upside down. It just kept reorienting the picture. I tried locking the screen and everything, and I couldn't get it to take a photo upside down.
Yeah, that's weird because mine. I mean, usually, if I were
testing it.
Yeah, usually,
it looks normal. I don't it stays upside down.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I don't know.
That looks right side up to me, Jackie.
Well, it's gonna look right side up for you.
Yeah.
It's gonna look right side up to you, but you're just taking it upside down.
Yes.
So in the video that you showed us, the photo was upside down when they took it. You're saying that it doesn't have to be upside down?
No, you're turning your phone upside down.
Why I thought everything was messed up. Was because I couldn't find the photo. Okay.
You just want the camera part of your phone to be lower to the ground.
Yeah, to get the actual it's supposed to help with the leading line to actually get that view.
Okay, should we bring in ours first or the audience submissions first?
We can. I mean, it doesn't really matter either way because we can
decide. It's your segment. Tell me what to pull in.
Okay, we can pull it. I like the way Christy did hers, so we can pull hers in first. Yeah. So
good one.
So I like the way that she captioned this one too. If you were a Bugs in Bugs Life, this is the view you would get.
Yeah, at the plant nursery that I work at. So
that turned out really good. I like that.
Yeah, and you also got a puddle in there, so you got the nice the shadow from the puddle.
With the reflection and the clouds were an unpaid actor too, because perfectly in the background. That was before
the reflection. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's a good one. I like that one a lot. We can pull in. I'll do this one. So there's the leading line. That's Shuri. That's my kitty cat. She was looking outside during the snowstorm. That wasn't a snowstorm. But the leading line here is the windowsill. So it leads you directly to your subject. And of course, you flip it upside down and you're getting that full view. So that's another way for you to lead with a line to your subject.
I have a weird question to ask you. Does your cat have the ear tag where they clipped it?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a rescue that they usually they take feral cats and they'll clip their ears when they get them fixed so that you know that they're fixed. And I just noticed that on her ear. I didn't notice that before. But yeah, it's the way that they keep like feral cats from procreating too much.
Yeah.
But
so she's clipped, and this is her clipped ear. You can't really see it, but
yes.
I'll see if we can
curse you for being black. Beauty.
But yeah, she was that was the leading line there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought you did a great job.
Yeah.
But it was right side. I took it right side up because I thought I was doing it wrong. Oh. St. Pete's like, do you have Samsung, Ash? No, just really bad at following instructions. How that goes.
Yeah. I think you did a great job.
Audience submissions, which we love when we get audience submissions. So we have Marcy.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's another one where it's like this could be like a little mouse.
Yeah.
This is how they view the world.
And maybe a possum.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes. So that was Marcy's. And then we also had Sean sent hers in. I don't know if
this is taking a picture of a line, but it's not allowing the line to lead, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah.
Actually, there's several lines because you got the power
there's
line,
the power lines, the street,
and the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would be cool to do one with the street with the power lines like going in the background. That would be cool too.
All right, and last one.
Mm-hmm.
We have Denise.
She said that she was having the same issues too with like turning her camera thing. So I think we may have figured it out.
In the video, when they take the picture is upside down, right? So I was trying to make that happen.
Oh yeah,
and it because the camera wouldn't let it. So yes. I think Denise, we're kindred, you and I. The same problem.
Well, I get it. Well, I get in the video that it shows that, but like I think it's just because I've taken pictures upside down before that it's just you want that camera to be closer to the ground. And it's going to be right side up. But I didn't even notice that in the video.
Yeah.
Or I would have explained it better.
All right.
Well, if
I didn't wait until the last minute to actually do the challenge, I would have asked questions about it. But it was 5 minutes before the show, and I'm like, oh, crap. And I ran outside, and Christy was in here waiting. But I came back. So I didn't even actually have time to answer questions. So
no worry. I still think it's cool. And it's cool to see like what everyone else sees outside versus what I see down here.
Yeah.
All right, do we have a challenge for next week?
Yes, next week's challenge, we are going to go night mode. Oh, you're good.
Oh, they come unstuck. Lady, running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I want to be your left-hand man. I love you when you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
so I see like a lot of instructions, so I'm probably going to mess this one up too, but I'm excited to try. That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as difficult as you think it is. It really is. Night mode on phones now is really self-explanatory. It does it all on its own. This is just making it so that it's a little bit more elevated, but night mode on iPhones is actually really good just on its own.
The only key you have to take away from this is you really want it to be still.
Yeah.
You don't want to be holding it, even if you have the steadiest hands in the world. You want it to be either propped up on something or held up by something, because if you move it just a touch, the whole thing is going to be blurry.
Yeah.
Because
can we watch it again?
Yeah, sure. It uses light aperture. So the longer the lens stays open, the more light comes into the camera, allowing you to see the stars and other things.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to watch it one more time.
Running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I want to be your left-hand man. I love you when you.
All right.
So I'll throw that challenge up on my X account and pin it to my profile so that if you have any questions or want to reference the video again, you can go there and see it.
And that's every week. Jackie has the photo challenge pin. So if you're new to the show and you want to join us for we're all learning how to use our cameras better this year and take better photos. Last year, we learned how to take better selfies. And it was a lot of fun. And I think we did really improve on our selfie taking ability, but we could not get the audience to participate much with us because people don't like their faces. You know, we have an audience of mostly
like your faces.
Yeah,
we do.
We like your faces. But you know, Anons, we should have seen that coming, I think.
Yeah.
You know. But we're doing more photos, and every week we share what's from your camera roll.
Right. Makes me think of that viral video of what's his name doing the dancing, like when he's so happy.
Oh yeah.
The dancing video. What's his name?
Marco Rubio.
Ham.
Yeah.
John Ham.
John Ham, yes.
They put Marco Rubio in that same shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've done it with
the same thing, right? Yeah.
Yes. The original was John Ham from like a movie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was on
I think
drugs or something.
All right. Another thing that we do every week on this show is we allow ourselves to get just a little bit smarter by learning about language.
Good evening. I mean,
hello.
Good morning. Hi.
Good afternoon.
All right. Did you bring the picture in, or do you want me to share?
Oh, I did not. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'll share it. Not a big deal. I did a picture today because I made a presentation for the other thing, and I didn't want to over presentate for you guys.
Sure.
Over present a word.
Yeah. Hate it when we do that.
All right. Here we go. All right. So today's idiom is holy cow.
Holy cow.
Holy cow. That is a holy cow, if you weren't sure. Native to Ireland. I don't know. Holy cow.
Ireland.
It looks like a Highland cow or Scotland or whatever.
Yes.
I only know facts, guys. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. Holy cow is a popular exclamation used to express surprise, astonishment, shock, or disbelief, often serving as a mild, humorous substitute for stronger profanity. The phrase dates back to at least 1905 with its earliest known print appearance in a satirical letter in the Minneapolis Journal protesting profane Hindu oaths involving cows, highlighting early Western awareness of cows as sacred status in Hinduism. Popularized in U.S. baseball by the 1910s, such as in the 1913 Oakland Tribune, it gained traction as a euphemism for possibly substitution for Holy Christ, within theories linking it to a Gaelic Holy Cathu, Holy Sorrow, via Irish immigrants, or general cow reverence in religious context. Despite these influences, no single origin is definitive, evolving as a playful slang by the 1920s.
Okay, hold on for a second. So this was started to protest the expansion of Hinduism in the West? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the theories.
I feel like it was largely successful then. If Hinduism was expanding in 1905 and this protest, this was in response to that, I feel like we don't have a massive Hindu population here. We have to see from 1905 to present massive Hindu influence here. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, if it was in a satirical letter, I don't know if, he's just like making it seem like that when it doesn't really have any basis. But I think it's really interesting for like the differences. I didn't even think about, I thought maybe like holy cow was instead of like holy shit or something like that.
I would have thought that too, like cow instead of cow shit, right? Just shorten it to cow. Yeah, I would have thought that too.
And this inspired my actual segment. If we get to it this week, if not, it's about using words instead of curse words and where they come from. and how far back they date from, which is a really, really interesting thing. I spent like 4 hours on it today.
Nice.
Because I was like, oh, and this, and this, and this. So, but holy cow.
Holy cow.
Holy cow.
Holy cow. And that is my idiom of the day. Week.
Of the week. Of the whole week.
The holy cow week.
Oh, well, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think it's good. So Christy is going to teach us all words we can say instead of curse words, and I think that's good for us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
because
the boomers complain.
Certainly for me, because I have a bit of a potty mouth. Mainly, exactly.
Yes.
It's necessary to challenge people in ways that are going to trigger them, because when people are triggered, they turn their brains on. And to all of the boomers who regularly message me about my language, I would just like to say, no, I'm not going to say that. I think it's important. So, like, if I say fuck about child rapists or people that are, stealing from Americans at scale and undermining our way of life, if I use the word fuck and you get upset because I said fuck more than you get upset at the people raping the children, you have allowed language to become an idol in your world, in your worldview. You have placed the language above the ideas and above, calling out evil. What we're going to learn from Christy later on in the show is that bad words evolve over time. The words that are considered bad words are like retard, right? We say retard, now we get yelled at. We're told that we're, being mean to disabled people. But the word retard came about because moron and imbecile were bad words. They were mean. And so they came up with retarded. I know I'm going to get comments about this segment too. But I think that the most important thing is that we're building the world that we want to build. And you might not want to build a world where people swear, but that's not something you can actually control. Certainly not in the United States of America, where we can say whatever the fuck we want. So, that's why I feel.
I don't think
trying to swear less though. Like I'm trying to swear less gratuitously. Those swear words that I just said were all very intentional to the point.
I don't think Badlands is trying to be politically correct.
Certainly not.
So yeah,
highly frictional.
No matter how much some of our audience wants us to.
Yep.
All right. Highly frictional is correct. Thank you, Jackie. All right. So very quick history update today.
Well, that played well right into that. Perfect.
The history update is that, because that's how I feel about America. Greatest country on earth. Greatest country in the history of earth. Greatest country anywhere. Suck it, Canada. All right. January 22nd, 1973. The U.S. Supreme Court issued its decision in Roe versus Wade. So last week we celebrated the anniversary of Roe versus Wade. I would like to play a video if everybody's okay with it.
Fuck yeah, I am.
Hell yeah.
Love you.
And Holly's just like, hi, I'm here.
All right. So, in honor of the end of Roe versus Wade, thank you, President Trump, and your Supreme Court appointees. Here's a video about babies.
4 weeks, the neural tube along your baby's back is closing and will develop into your baby's brain and spinal cord. At 5 weeks, your baby looks like a tadpole with a tail that will disappear by 5 weeks.
Like an
At
axolotl.
6 weeks, little webbed fingers are forming. At 7 weeks, your embryo is now 10,000 times bigger than when it arrived in your uterus. Your baby's head grows faster than its body to make room for its rapidly expanding brain. At 8 weeks, your baby's lips, nose, and eyelids are forming. At 9 weeks, the major internal organs, such as your baby's heart, brain, lungs, kidneys, and gut, are developing. You may also be able to hear your baby's heartbeat on a Doppler. By 11 weeks, your baby has miniature ears. At 12 weeks, your baby can swallow amniotic fluid and pass urine. Your baby's heart, brain, lungs, and kidneys are now fully developed.
Brain fully developed, 12 weeks.
At 13 weeks, your baby's vocal cords are forming. At 14 weeks, your baby is covered in a soft, colorless hair known as lanugo. At 15 weeks, your baby's skin is translucent and they can hear your heartbeat and voice. At 17 weeks, you might start to feel your baby move. Your baby also has unique fingerprints. At 19 weeks, your baby's skin is covered in vernix caseosa, a white, creamy biofilm. By 21 weeks, your baby has developed essential skills, including sucking and breathing. By 22 weeks, taste buds have started to form on your baby's tongue. At 23 weeks, your baby is learning to grab. At 27 weeks, your baby may experience hiccups, resulting in rhythmic twitches in your belly.
That was always weird. When babies start hiccuping in the womb.
By 28 weeks, your baby can open their eyes and look around. At 29 weeks, your baby sticks out its tongue to taste the flavor molecules in the amniotic fluid. By 30 weeks, your baby is practicing breathing. At 36 weeks, your baby can grasp firmly. At 37 weeks, your baby is inhaling and exhaling amniotic fluid. At 38 weeks, your baby's lanugo is falling off. At 39 weeks, your baby's immune system can now protect them against a variety of infections.
So, on January 22nd, 1973, the United States Supreme Court issued its decision in Roe versus Wade. The decision afforded a pseudo-constitutional right to abortion that stripped personhood from millions of fearfully, wonderfully made humans despite their unique human DNA, making them indisputably human and endowed by their creator with a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For nearly 50 years, the ruling bound the states, ostensibly making all Americans complicit in the moral debt of the blood of our nation's children. For nearly 50 years, America as a nation celebrated a grave human tragedy and called it virtue. Isaiah 5:20 says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who turn darkness to light and light to darkness, who replace bitter with sweet and sweet with bitter." In 2022, Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization overturned Roe, breaking that condemnable blood oath and giving the matter back to the people of the states to decide. All glory to God in the highest, in the name of his son, Jesus. P.S. He forgives all of it. Just ask. And that is pretty much the history update that I have for today. I only included Roe versus Wade in my daily history update that day because I think it is such a despicable, horrible thing that our nation did. However, I am not somebody who thinks that we need to employ the federal government to stop it from happening, because that creates all manner of problems from a civil liberty standpoint. And as we see, when we allow the government to creep, we get things like vaccine mandates. And, up in Canada, they have euthanasia now in ways that is pretty horrifying. So, just, glad it's over. Glad the states have the ability to end it. Sort of terrified about the moral debt of living in this state, because here it's been enshrined into our Constitution. Taxpayer funding of it has been enshrined into our Constitution. So, we have to deal with that here in Colorado, or flee. I'm still on the fence. One other thing, we had the first female doctor, Elizabeth Blackwell, January 23rd, 18. Hold for processing. 18 something. I have a video. I'll play this video.
At a time when women were excluded from most professions, Elizabeth Blackwell broke through barriers to become the first woman to graduate from a U.S. medical college. Elizabeth was born in England in 1821. She immigrated to the United States with her family when she was 11 years old. Sadly, her father died just 6 years later. When Elizabeth was in her 20s, her close friend Mary fell ill. Before she died, Mary told Elizabeth that she would have suffered less if she had been treated by a female doctor. Elizabeth took her friend's words to heart. She decided to become a physician. When Elizabeth applied to Geneva Medical College, the all-male student body voted to admit her, as a joke. But Elizabeth took her acceptance seriously. She persisted through rampant discrimination, and in 1849, became the first woman to graduate from a medical school in the United States. She set up a private practice and a free clinic for poor women and children in New York, and started training other women in medicine. When the Civil War began in 1861, Elizabeth saw it as an opportunity for women medical professionals to gain acceptance and be paid to provide necessary care to soldiers. But Dorothea Dix, another prominent medical activist, argued women should volunteer to provide free medical care for the army because it was an extension of a woman's duty to care for home and family. Dorothea's plan was less expensive, and it did not upset gender roles, so the U.S. government adopted it. Elizabeth found herself sidelined, but still supported the war effort. After the war, Elizabeth established a college dedicated to training women in medicine and continued to be a fervent medical activist until her death in 1910. How did Elizabeth Blackwell's groundbreaking work change the healthcare system in the United States?
All right, that's the question. Women doctors, where do we line up on them? I think it's amazing that she became a doctor. Yeah. They admitted her on a joke. She took it seriously. She became a doctor 71 years before women could vote.
Wow. Well, that's the first thing you did wrong is you did it as a joke to a woman, and someone does that to any woman.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, you oh really? Oh really?
Yeah. Watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, men and women are different. Shocking. I know, shocking. Revelation. Men and women are different. So a woman might have better insight on women's ailments. Just a maybe tentative idea. But
yeah, shocking. Right. Breaking news. Men don't actually understand the inner mind of a woman.
I will reference until the end of the time the video that I said where NASA sent a woman to space for 3 days with 100 tampons. That is my favorite thing. Rocket scientists don't even. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. All right. So this is my last one. So speaking of women, we saw in 1984 a shift in the way that consumer technology was sold to Americans, and arguably changed the culture in massive ways. What technology company do you guys think did that? Guess. 1984. Go on. Jackie's got it. It's Apple. So this was a sort of groundbreaking Super Bowl ad at the time, introducing the Macintosh computer.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created for the first time in all history a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of a contradictory force. Unification of force is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Except it was worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what future? So the idea was, right, that personal computing and Apple computers that is going to. I thought it was interesting that ad came out. That was actually on January 22nd as well. So that ad came out on the 11th anniversary of Roe versus Wade. And they have a woman. There's a Big Brother is talking to a room full of men who are all kind of mindlessly drone watching the screen, and a woman comes in and breaks it. Which I thought was a interesting subliminal messaging there. But the message that we're being told through that ad, 1984 Americans were being told through that ad, is that you're going to break the chains. The personal computing and consumer technology is going to break the chains. You're going to, be liberated. And I think in a lot of ways that's true, but also in a lot of ways we're more enslaved than we've ever been. What do you guys think about that messaging from 1984?
I feel like they were setting it up for what they are currently doing with their systems. Like it was almost like reverse, what is it called? Like manipulation almost. Like they were saying like, this is what you guys are currently dealing with, but actually what we're going to be doing with you instead.
Like a reverse psychology.
That's the word. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting watching that commercial back from 1984 and seeing it in today's lens, today's eyes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Ashe, you're muted.
muted.
I was 5 years old when that came out, so I didn't have any sort of moment or feeling about it. But I am interested for people who are adults, like in the chat, for people who are adults when that came out, what was the vibe like? Was it an exciting, you're on the precipice of a new frontier kind of thing? Brian says, way worse. Now they control us without even knowing it. Yes. And also when people find out that they're being controlled, the convenience factor of it makes them not care. Right.
Yeah.
It's, oh, well, it's okay. It's just the way it goes. Think about data, right? That's the side effect of that has really turned the world into being monitored by Big Brother in a way that 1984 and Orwell would have thought was too far, right? Is the data that comes off of the supercomputer that, we hold in our hands and keep with us everywhere we go. And it tracks every one of our movements and what we say and what we do and all of that data. And people know that now. It is indisputable that we live in a surveillance state and we're willing participants in it because we carry the surveillance devices around with us, but it's so convenient.
Yeah.
And it's just the way the world works. And it's just how it is. And they can't do it. They won't do anything. Surely they won't do anything really bad with it, with our data. With all that surveillance. Right?
Not that we'll notice yet.
Okay, so Claire Cat says everyone was really excited about it. EC says most people viewed it as tone deaf and pretentious. Ad was roundly mocked at the time, according to EC. That's interesting. Yeah, so EC and Claire are kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. You guys, in 1984, you guys were on opposite ends of the spectrum of the Apple ad. Interesting.
Well, I mean, I can see the appeal to it because it seems like it's saying like you don't have to rely on what people are telling you. You may be able to do it on your own at home and find out your own information. Like I can see that being like a really good marketing point for it. Like saying like you can do it all at home now. You don't have to rely on, what everyone's telling you. But obviously where we are now is.
Yeah, I mean, I think about like the transformative nature of it. And we're talking about the impact and direct advertising on consumer technology, which was transformational at the time in the culture. We've seen Apple do this a bunch, right? I remember the Coldplay "When I Ruled the World" song. I can't hear that song without seeing the person dancing with the white ear pod things, right? That song. Yeah, that was like around the time of TiVo first coming out, and people hadn't figured out. I certainly hadn't figured out, fast forwarding all of the commercials yet. So we listened to that commercial over and over and over and over again, and it's Apple shifting the culture. And shifting the culture is not just to sell iPhones. They don't just want to sell iPhones. They want to, and by they I mean globalists, not necessarily Apple, but Apple too. They want to shift the public mind on what's acceptable and tolerable. What kinds of intrusions are we going to allow? And convenience offsets a lot of civil liberty concerns when you consider voting. We're going to shift here in a second and talk about Georgia elections. Think about trying, this is for me a profound example, maybe not for some of you, but in Colorado, trying to get rid of mail-in voting is going to be like trying to turn the Titanic right before the iceberg because of the convenience. No other reason. No other reason than the fact that it's convenient. People don't really have to do much right now. Their ballot comes to their house and they can drop it right back in the mailbox, and that's their voting experience. Now you're telling me I have to go somewhere and I have to actually like show an ID and like leave my house to do it.
You have to put thought into it.
Yeah. Why are we doing that? That's just going to suppress my vote. I'm not going to go vote anymore because I'm only going to do it if it's really, really, really easy and convenient. That's the mind shift. That comes from stuff like the change curve that we've been on with Apple, from computers to the iPod, to the iPhone, to the iPad, right? We've had our, and convenience is a hell of a drug. Comfort and convenience are what a big part of what's driving American apathy to the point where we have been overrun and subjugated by globalists.
Yeah. I don't think that the taking the easiest way possible out is really the people that we want voting.
Yeah.
Just maybe like maybe
it makes it easier to cheat too,
right? Like
mail-in voting certainly makes it easier to cheat. Yes. Fake voters, fake ballots, fake counts.
Like online classes. Way easier to cheat in those.
Yeah.
Well, now they're talking about mobile voting.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No, they've been talking about it for a while. Matt Crane here in Colorado, his face is on the poster.
That's
so it's the shift. Get them comfortable with this, and then once everybody's comfortable with this, well, we can make it even more convenient. We can do it this way, and
and the trade-off is security, right? We have a trade-off with elections for security. They won't admit that there are trade-offs with security. They'll tell you, no, safe and secure. We have signature verification, so we can drop ballots from the fucking sky and everything is going to be fine. Nobody's going to vote that isn't supposed to vote because signature verification. Also, we don't do signature verification, but we tell you that we do it so you feel real good about it. And it is that convenience factor, but the security was a question for a barrier, rather. Security was a barrier for globalists at the time that they started trying to push for all mail-in voting. People did, it's not secure. Same thing with the Apple computer set with cloud. Companies were resistant to moving to cloud because of the security of their data. And then the tech companies came out and said, well, we can keep it more secure than you can. We have the best security minds in the world, and you should really trust us with your data because you could get hacked if you're doing this on your own. And then security became an imperative, even though the entire thing is less secure. It's all marketing. Power of tech marketing is really something. All right. That is This Week in U.S. History. Yeah. And a great for talk about Georgia elections. But before we do, we are going to from our main sponsor.
Something's happening with your mic.
I think you may have switched mics or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. As soon as you pressed the thing, it sounded like you were underwater.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Is it still that way? Because it looks like
No, it's back now. I think so. A lot of the time, StreamYard, what I know it happens with Cam is if you play an audio that is in the media assets, what it'll do is it'll like completely take your audio and like scramble it up. And it takes like a few seconds for it to finally lag and catch up. And now it sounds good again. Yeah, it sounds good now, but it does like that weird thing.
Yeah, I didn't touch anything. I just went into the settings and everything looked fine. And then you told me it was fine. So weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we shift over and talk about Georgia elections, we are going to hear from our final sponsor.
Some stories aren't meant to be summarized. They're meant to be felt. When the mind breaks and the body fails, and faith is the one thing left to reach for.
Through the frost, I saw him clearer than ever. I knew my story wasn't over. They called it bipolar disorder. I called it a betrayal of my own mind. But even then, grace found me. My body failed me, but God didn't. What should have been the end became the opportunity for an unshakable new beginning.
Unshaken by Denise Pimentel is a raw memoir about surviving bipolar disorder, a near-fatal stroke, and rebuilding life through faith in God when everything collapses at once. This is not motivational fluff. This is a real survival story, quiet, honest, and lived. You can find it now in print, ebook, and audiobook at glorifiedwriting.com. Did that sound okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. And thank you so much to Glorified Writing for sponsoring today's show.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Holly, let's talk about Georgia. So for set it up for folks on the journey that you saw. I've known Holly since I think early 2021 is when you and I first kind of connected. We've been friends and kind of done some projects together. We've shared each other's stuff and a bunch of different things. You've been on Why We Vote quite a few times. But for folks that are not maybe as plugged in to what the election journey. Take us through the journey in Georgia.
So 2020 happened and they hijacked a presidential election, and Fulton County was most definitely in the spotlight. Of course, some of the metro counties were very much in the spotlight as well with issues and things going on. But, we had the stop and counting and water pipes bursting, the whole 9 yards. And then, lawsuits, everybody was seeing it. Ballots were, flowing in left and right the next day. And numbers were drastically changing. And then all of a sudden it was Kemp and Raffensperger were getting on saying everything was fine. They were not going to do a hand recount. You name it, it happened. And the narrative completely shifted and completely changed. And so lawsuits started happening. And during that time, they did end up doing 3 counts. But there was a massive team on the ground, people pulling data, getting records, housing all of those, starting to do research, analysis, questioning things. Of course, all the lawfare went on, forever. Still, some of it's still going on, actually. And then we ran into, 2022, 2023, when all the Fonnie Willis stuff started. And the 19 electors.
You mentioned, sorry, I was distracted by the chat. Did you mention the January 2nd phone call? Because I feel like that's important.
Okay, yeah. So then there was a phone call with Brad Raffensperger and Donald Trump. And, of course, Trump used the word find, which we found them. We found a whole lot of votes that were missing. Obviously, that was very much shut down and covered up over the years. So all of that is just now starting to come out. But yeah, that phone call was had, and that was sort of a preliminary basis for all of the legal lawfare, where they tried to get trap Trump into the RICO charges and all the 19 electors, which they called fake electors. I don't know how you have fake electors, but it's whatever they come up with, right? And
that
so
pause there. So that timeline is really important. You have the election on November 3rd. You have Raffensperger and Kemp being like, nah, man, everything's cool. Then you have recounts. I think December 3rd was one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
December 3rd was one, yeah. And in the meantime, too, a lot of people do not talk about this, but Kim Wyman, who was the former Washington State Secretary of State, she was communicating and texting back and forth. I had put these text messages out forever ago. I'd have to pull them back up and recirculate them. But she was texting with Brad Raffensperger like, hey, I can't wait to see y'all. If you need any help in Georgia with the recounts, we'll be glad to come in. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's an odd conversation to have, which I've always said, and I think everybody in the election front will agree. There needs be an investigation into NAS, the National Association of Secretary of States, because they're clearly all coordinating and on the same narrative path. But yeah, so
public-private corruption, that one, and not just NAS, but NASED and the local county associations and state level associations as well. Just on the timeline, so you have the November 3rd election, you have recounts happening through December 3rd. We now know, and Holly will get into how we know this, but we know that they knew that there was a problem November 19th of 2020. You have December 3rd. It's sort of definitive. January 2nd is the phone call where President Trump says, I just need you to find 11,000 something votes, right? And then everybody lost their shit and said President Trump was trying to overturn an election. And Holly will talk about how that's absolutely not what happened. But then what's really important, Brian and I have screamed about this, but this audience is potentially different than the Why We Vote audience. So I want to come back around to it. So that was January 2nd, 2021 is that phone call. January 5th is runoff election of where 2 Georgia Senate races are on the ballot, and it determines control of the U.S. Senate. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and so so there was that election, and it was so crazy because we were in DC and everybody was back in the hotel watching everything happen that night, and of course everybody wakes up the next morning and boom, they did the same thing for the runoff elections. And so we're seeing the exact same thing happen on TV, same numbers getting switched, the whole 9 yards. And so fast forward to that, I don't know how much you want me to go into each individual timeline. There was the Arizona audit. There was teams coming into Georgia trying to, figure out exactly what they were going to do here, if they were going to do a full audit here while Arizona audit was going on. And so then we went through all of the Fani Willis chaos and that whole debacle. And in the meantime, all of us are working. I say us, grassroots patriots, working and coordinating together, not just within the state, but across the country to figure out what is going on, what has happened. It's systematic because the same problems that we're seeing in Georgia, we saw in all of the other states, particularly the swing states, right? And so there were just so many similarities and things going on. And Ashe can tell you about that. We built out such a dynamic team of people across the board that have done so much incredible work. And when you're seeing it on a broad scale, it's like, wow, they really did hijack a presidential election. Like it really was a planned, organized coup, to take over the United States.
They fortified it.
Yeah.
They fortified the election. The super empathetic and tolerant people they were just fortifying the election. That you said what word did you use? They really did manipulate. Hijack. You said hijack. Yeah. They stole it. They committed treason. This is treason. There are foreign interests. I personally think globalism is foreign interests. And if you're acting against the interest of the American people in the interest of globalism, you are committing treason. And that's, I know, a hot take. And a lot of people that are globalists are going to disagree with it. But at the end of the day, if your allegiances and your actions are targeted at helping another nation or set of nations at the expense of Americans, you are engaging in treasonous conduct. And that's what we saw. I don't think we can use too strong of words to describe what they have done. And not just the stealing of the election, but the cover up and the weaponization of government and persecution of the people that, people like us that refuse to back down and refuse to stop talking about it.
I have a question. So obviously we know that they've done all these things, right? Like we know that they have stolen and committed treason, like Ashe is saying. How long do you think it took for them to actually organize this? Like to actually go in and like figure out how they're actually going to put all these pieces together? Because obviously this wasn't something that they just thought of like last minute. Okay, let's go in and like steal the election. Obviously there was planning to this. How long were they planning this?
Yeah, how far back does it go?
Yeah.
Holly, do you have an answer?
So I don't know if it's the right answer, but I'll give an opinion on it. I think what we're dealing with is, you see the red-green axis, and the color revolution. So there's also a cultural revolution. And we were talking about globalism and the elites or the deep state or cabal or whatever you want to call them. They have had a plan. They have had a massive marketing plan in place for decades.
Right.
This is not something they just did overnight. The election apparatus was all part of a grand scheme to take over. And so everything that we're seeing on the cultural front, everything that we're seeing with different companies, or the CCP or China or, whatever other country is trying to, imply some influence into the United States, that all coordinates and goes right along with our elections. And it is hard for people to grasp it. I mean, I've hit a brick wall several times, and just with, not to get into the whole Muslim community, in the Islamic takeover, but what you learn from there and what their playbook is, or the the Marxist revolution. I mean, there's so many different things that play into this, and elections is part of it. So it's been going on for a long time, in my opinion. I don't think it's something they just decided, Hillary was supposed to win. No, it started way before then. She was actually supposed to win. And Trump got that, and then they had to come back with a vengeance. I do believe they had it planned, and she was supposed to win. And during that time frame, they had to come up with something really quick so that didn't happen again, and Biden was installed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think 2016 is the first time they attempted to manipulate elections. I think it's the first time they got caught. And I'm of the mind that 2020 had to go the way that it did because we had to get the American people's heads around just how corrupt everything was. The Biden administration was the greatest example of that. Brian sent me a video last week. It's it's like 4 hours worth of content, but it's talking about election fraud in the 70s. There are people like James Collier, Bev Harris, who've been talking about election fraud since the 90s. I think we see it in earnest in the 2000 election with the hanging chads. That set up the need for HAVA, which gave birth to the modern elections industry. We know that the tactics are not just machines, not just, voter rolls, not just the types of paper that are used. It's all of these things coming together. And one thing that we've seen since 2020 is that the tactics shift. Right. So what we saw in Arizona in 2020 was different than what we saw in Arizona in 2022, but we had the same outcome of it. And that's so I think we are the American people's awakening to election fraud and believing that it's possible that could happen, right? That our democracy could be stolen. There would have to be so many people involved in that. The size of the cabal that would have to be involved in that. Yeah. And you know what we saw in the wake of 2020? We saw them all come together and defend an obviously corrupt system that has no defense. We saw them obstruct the will of the people, that we saw them immediately label us terrorists and weaponize the government against us for asking questions about their legitimacy. That's not the type of behavior that innocent people engage in, and certainly not transparent governance. I think that President Trump was never supposed to win. She was supposed to win 2016, and everything that we've seen the regime do since then, since 2016, has been desperately trying to regain control, in my opinion.
Desperately.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the findings.
Yeah. So it's gotten really exciting. We've got a great group that has dug into the double scanning of ballots, and so Fulton County, and that was actually discovered a while back. Joe Rossi has been just astronomical and staying steadfast and really pushing through. And I will say, I know everybody, gets on to me when I say this, but it is the truth. He got a meeting with Governor Kemp, and Governor Kemp, looked at his findings and talked with him about it and assigned investigators to it. And they actually confirmed the findings. And those findings now statewide are up to almost like 10,000 double scan ballots. So it's not just concentrated, even though we hear about Fulton County all the time in the news. It's not just in Fulton County, it's in multiple other counties across the state. And Jeff and I actually have a case. I actually just got a letter, the third letter that we've got to respond to about another, let us know that you're ready for the hearing. Well, we've let you know this will be the third time now that we're ready, and we still keep getting these letters and, kicking the can down the road, I guess you'd say. But the same thing in Ware County. And Ware County is just a tiny little county down in South Georgia, but the exact same thing. And so the good news about this is that Philip's work has been corroborated. Rossi's has, that entire team. It consists of, there's Garland, Jeff, Philip Davis, Joe Rossi, Kevin Moncla, David Cross. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody, because Lord knows if you do, somebody's going to come back and say something. So got to make sure we get them all in. And there's more too, behind the scenes that help do stuff. But yeah, so the findings, have come out, they've been corroborated. And then the other problem that we ran into, Ashe mentioned the cover up. So this was a huge issue as people were going to their counties. And I mean, every county. We have an amazing grassroots team here. We're organized. People have their talking points. We train them on what to look for, how to do the findings, how to present it to the county officials. And people started doing that. And it was the same thing, just getting shut down. And then we started learning after doing open records requests that the Secretary of State's office was actually telling counties, or telling county attorneys, and telling the county election board members and county election supervisors, this stuff has to be turned into the Secretary of State. Complaints have to be filed with the Secretary of State. County attorneys can't do anything. They can't hear the cases. The list goes on and on about what we've been through. And so people were filing complaints to the Secretary of State's office. They were holding those, not turning them over to the state election board in a proper time frame. And of course, it's taken years, but we finally have a majority, and a very good majority, on the state election board. And so they have been running through those complaints and working on getting them all heard and seen, even bringing some back up. The most crucial one that has really gone viral and really tells the story is the Moncla Rossi complaint, which is SEB 2023-025. And that one talks about the double scan ballots. That's the one that entails the email cover up. And so now that just came out last week, that it is actually proven that Fulton County and the Secretary of State knew about it and did nothing. And so there's more information that's going to be coming out soon as well. So
I have Brian in my 5-minute video on that. If we want to hear it, it might be overkill. I think we've both of us have ranted about this for more than 5 minutes over the course of many shows, but kind of brings it in together concisely, I think, about why we're so excited about what happened last week in Georgia and what the issues are. Do you guys want to watch it?
Yeah, play it.
Yes.
Sure.
Fulton County knew in November of 2020, November 19th, 16 days after the election, they knew that there was massive discrepancies between the hand count, or the machine count, and the hand count, and so forth and so on. They gaslit the American public the entire time that the hand count's aligned, everything matches up, everything checks out. Even if the unsigned tabulator tapes, the 315,000 unsigned tabulator tapes, even if that was a discrepancy, we still did three counts to make sure that all the numbers match. Only they didn't match. And they knew that they didn't match. And they had to add votes in order to get them to match. This led to indictments. This disrupted a Senate runoff, which was the literal control of our country.
They held the runoff anyway, using the same system, knowing they had a massive problem with the prior election. And they told everybody it was fine.
January 5th, 2021, elected the 2 Democrat senators in Georgia that swayed control of the United States Senate and gave Joe Biden a trifecta in government.
Yeah.
And they knew that it was a problem. January 6th happened because people knew that there was something off. And Fulton County knew, and they gaslit everybody. They bald-faced lied.
So Georgia investigatory officials can have absolutely nothing to do with what comes next, because the state of Georgia, the whole of government has to come together to cover up this thing. And they did. We saw them. Where's Gabe Sterling? Where's Raffensperger? Where's Kemp? They were on one side of this thing. January, what day was it with the call? January 2nd.
Or 2nd.
January 2nd. President Trump says, hey, there's some issues there in Georgia. What did they do? They said he was trying to rig an election. Find me 11,000 votes, they said, and made it look as though President Trump was trying to overturn the outcome of an election when he was actually asking legitimate questions about their cover-up. Bipartisan effort. The state of Georgia has violated the nation with what they did.
Yes. Fulton County has violated the nation with what they did. Correct. Michael Pendergrass, Nadine Williams, Richard Barron. These people, this is, I don't know how you don't look at this as treason or seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government. I don't know how you get around.
Whoops. Yeah, I say treason because I think globalism is foreign interests.
Yeah, it's bad. And that's a great quick summary. I mean, that just hammered down on it. And it is, they were all in on the cover up. And I mean, you look at everything from the judges, the inspector general to, go into a judge's position that was overseeing the Fonnie Willis cases. And I mean, every single bit of it. It's when you look at it really in a timeline view, there's no disputing it. I mean, you just look at it and go, wow, it's really unbelievable what they did here. And a conspiracy. I mean, a true conspiracy to overthrow the government. It's really unbelievable.
And then they admitted it.
Yeah, and then they admitted it.
In that I think it was Time magazine. Was it Time or Newsweek? I think it was Time magazine. They're like, oh, the secret cabal that came together to fortify the election and protect it. We did a bunch of stuff, but we did it for totally good reasons, guys. And it's like this disclosure that felt like such a slap in the face to us back in 2021 when it was 2021 when that came out. And they're all giving themselves a victory lap about stealing the election. And I'm with President Trump, who last week at the World Economic Forum told them that people are going to be prosecuted. Actually, the day before it was the day this happened, before the state election board in Georgia, where Joe Rossi finally had the opportunity to share his findings and what he had seen, what he had been begging them to pay attention to, right? He was finally able to present that was happening the same day that President Trump was telling people, the elites in Davos, fucking inbred morons, that people are going to be prosecuted for the 2020 election. We were all super excited about that. And then, the very next day we had that Senate ethics hearing in Georgia. And we more people know now than knew before. There must be accountability for this. Do you think, Holly, that there will be?
Well, I can tell you this. On Friday, the judge in Macon, Middle Georgia, shot down the DOJ request for voter rolls. And I thought, okay, that's a really bad look, because that actually should have been filed in the Northern District.
Which is why that was why, right? That was why it was shut down, because it was filed in the wrong district.
Yeah, that's why it was shut down. People are kind of making a big deal about it, and and trying to go after the judge. I'm gonna be honest with you. In this one, I know we have a lot of really bad things in our judicial circuits, with our judiciary. But this one, the judge is right. I mean, it should have been filed in the Northern District. So that's a little bit of a bad look on the DOJ. Hopefully they're going to get that together, change it, and refile correctly.
That happens a lot on our side, Holly, and people are often, Brian and I talk about this all the time, but people will blame the judge immediately. People will blame the judge before the thing is heard, right? Mm-hmm. It's just there's so little trust in the judicial system that everybody just assumes you can't get a fair trial and there's going to be judicial misconduct, judicial corruption involved. I get it. I understand why people think that, but often on our side of things, the judge gets blamed for really shitty legal work.
Right. And that was one of these cases. And so hopefully they're going to get it together and fix that little error, because that definitely wasn't a good look coming on the heels of the great week that we had. But I think what you said earlier is very important to note about it's going to have to be people outside of Georgia. Because when you look at all of these cases, and again, there's, the 015, 181, and 025, all three of those cases really align and kind of bounce off of each other with a few others. There's a few others that are part of that, but they all kind of bounce off of each other and sort of tell the same story. And these cases were presented to the Attorney General's office. They were presented to the Inspector General's office. And so it's, where do you go when you cannot address grievances? Of course, now we are seeing the state election board do what they're supposed to be doing, but then who do they turn to? When you don't have an attorney general, when you don't have an inspector general who's supposed to oversee all of that stuff, then who do you turn to? And so Rossi did let the cat out the bag. And I know we discussed it last Friday. The DOJ is here on the ground, and things have been moving. I can't really get into a lot of that in detail, but there are things going on. And so I do hope that they get to the bottom of it. There's a lot involved, and there's a lot of people that really need to be held accountable for what went on.
Yeah. So go ahead, Christy.
Oh, well, what do you think the, exposure of all this craziness in Georgia is going to do for the other states, or what's going to happen moving forward after, finding all this information out? Because I mean, I'm not very knowledgeable about all this stuff, and it's drawing a lot of lines that are similar from Ashe had us watch Scandal. And so I'm seeing a lot of things like, what was it? Defiance or wherever, where all the fraud. Yeah. Ohio. Yeah. But what do you think will happen moving forward for other states after this?
So a couple of things. I think the very first thing is that states are going to have to realize, and I think Georgia is starting to realize this. We saw this with the Senate ethics hearing. And there's a lot of talk behind the scenes that these systems have got to be removed. They're just not functional. They're not secure. They're not functional. We even did a study, our Georgians for Truth group even did a study on the EAC certifications and just the compliance of that, looking at the system logs. And of course, system logs are always sort of a tell-all sign because they tell you every single thing that happens from the time those machines are booted up until they're shut down.
Unless they're deleted or programmed not to capture.
Or that too. That happens too.
Which happens often.
It does. But I think with the similarities of all of these states and seeing what's coming out in Georgia, because everybody uses, some sort of system somehow. We know they're all connected. Of course, they're all connected to the internet. That was one thing we had to fight forever. But I think there is at this point no denying that there is a systematic problem. And it's not just within the state of Georgia, that it is nationally. It is nationwide. And so while I don't know what's going to happen, I do know there is a lot of pressure on these states and a lot of really good grassroots movement that, people are sharing information. They're talking about it. They're comparing what's happening in Georgia to what could be happening in their state or what they already know is happening in their state and continuing to apply pressure. And so, again, I don't know what the answer is. Well, I know what the answer should be. But do I know exactly what's going to happen? No, I don't. But I think things are moving in the right direction. And I think while we have the local bottom up push, we're going to have more of a push from the top down too. And I think President Trump and his administration are very well aware of that and working on some things from that angle too.
Yeah, I would just pile on to that. I agree with everything you said, and I'll pile on to it. So first podcast that I ever did was on Brian's channel. We were talking about Arizona election fraud, and the Mesa County reports were coming out. And the article that I was, Brian had asked me to come on and talk about that I wrote was the interstate conspiracy to defraud the American people. And what we found, this is 2021. So by the fall of 2021, we knew that the same sources and methods, not just the same technologies, but the same obstruction, the same tactics of leaking to the press, and the same technology landscape and same, issues within the electoral system were present in both Arizona and Colorado. That was the premise of my article. And this is, the fall of 2021 that we're talking about this. Since then, we've learned a lot more. We've learned how much they have lied to us about things like, well, the machines can't connect to the internet. That's what we were told in the wake of the election. They don't even have that capability, John Polos of Dominion said. Well, that was a lie. And they knew they had the capability. They actually issued guidance to make people disable the Wi-Fi capability. There are, across fake voters, fake ballots, fake counts, there are a number of different kind of modules you can put together to steal an election. There's not an infinite number. It's actually kind of a small number of modules, but you can reconfigure them in ways. This is kind of the Arizona 2020 versus 2022 example. You configure them in ways that it, looks different. As soon as people figure out how you're going to, how you cheated in 2020, you shift it and move it so that you don't do the same things in 2022. The reality is that the group of conspirators that designed this thing and that are kind of the project managers of it, the global glue of it, the people that kind of, in my opinion, guide the change effort at the state level. This is people like, again, my opinion based on the information available, people like Matt Crane, the head of the Clerks Association, the NAS that Holly mentioned, National Association of Secretaries of State, people like David Becker, again, in my opinion, based on the information available, people like David Becker with the ERIC system and the Center for Election Innovation and Research, Mark Elias on the lawfare front, and the actions that we see. It is the same sources and methods and tactics across states. So these are our playbooks for how we defend democracy. Okay, but if it's proven that you're engaging in a criminal conspiracy to steal an election, to defraud the American people, then you're going to prison, and maybe worse, because we're talking about treason at that point. And I'm of the mind, we do not need more evidence of election fraud. We need something to be done about the mountains of evidence of election fraud that exist across this great union, across these 50 states. And we are finally seeing that in Georgia. We are finally seeing that there is some accountability, hopefully, potentially, closer than we've ever been, right? Because feels like we feel closer. And Holly, you're in Georgia, right? I'm personally invested in Georgia because I was born in Bolton County, and my family goes back there generations, and I want free and fair elections everywhere. I'm an American, but Georgia in particular really pisses me off because that's my home state. But it feels to me that we are closer than we've ever been to getting accountability for this horrible portfolio of crime. But Holly, you're in Georgia. What do you think?
I think we are close. The pressure is on for sure. We're the state election board sitting in a good position right now. A lot of legislators are really waking up and realizing what's going on. The tensions were very high. The frustration, you could really tell from the Senate ethics hearing. Those senators are just frustrated with Raffensperger and his office. I mean, it was very clear. Ashe, I think you tuned in and watched that.
Yeah, we streamed it.
Yeah. And their reactions and just some of the comments, they were just absolutely furious. So,
but the funniest part of that was the Democrats who were like, well, we can't share voter roll information because they might use it for immigration enforcement. Hang on a second. I thought you had pristine voter rolls that were the gold standard of the nation down there in Georgia. And now you're worried that they're going to find illegals on them and deport them. You can't have that both ways. But the Democrat senators on that hearing panel were very, very concerned about that. The other thing that's hilarious about that is that they give all of our information to ERIC, which is a third party with zero oversight and is, padding the voter rolls around the nation.
Yeah. And not only that, look at the videos. I don't know if y'all have seen the videos that David Kite, a journalist, just a regular citizen journalist. He's been doing a lot of really good videos working with Jason Frazier, who's one of the really good ones in our state that works on voter rolls. And, they went out and actually looked at properties where people were registered to vote. And some of them are abandoned houses, and there were, 10, 20, 30 people registered. Some of them were overpasses or underneath the overpass where people were registered to vote, which I don't even know how that has an address. Maybe it's like an intersection or something, but just little simple things that open the door for people when you don't have clean voter rolls, and it's not kept up. It opens the door for people to be able to request a ballot, get a ballot, fill it out, send it in, do whatever you want to do. And then, it's just ripe. The system becomes ripe with fraud. So just like Ashe said earlier, there's so many components to this election system. And I feel like they've made it complicated. They've done all of this and made it so complicated so that, look at how many years it took us just to uncover stuff and figure things out and, learn the system front, back, up, down, and sideways, 7 ways to Sunday. So
Yeah, the complexity is by design, right? And it is a byproduct of centralization. So over the past several decades, we have pulled the powerful, beautiful people have pulled powers repeatedly out of the counties, out of the local jurisdictions, and centralized them, either out of the local jurisdiction, centralizing them in the county, then further out of the county, centralizing it in the hands of the state. And they were really pushing for HR1, right? Which gave the federal government a lot. The HR1 gave the federal government a lot of authorities over elections that I think that they really wouldn't want them to have right now, right? Which is just so funny about the whole HR1 thing. It's like that boomeranged pretty quickly. But well, shoot, where was my head going with that? Completely blanked. I don't remember what we were talking about.
Elections.
Always. It's always elections.
Well,
yeah.
I have a weird, like, just because I've been thinking about it, but I wonder if, us uncovering it and, trying to figure this all out and like figuring out that these people have done all these horrible things. Were we supposed to do this? Were we supposed to find this out? Was this part of their whole plan, was to like, so that we would all divide even further than we already are over things? Like, it's just like, how far does it go? Like, how far, like, macro does it go?
It goes all the way, I think. What I was going to say, the way I was going to land that plane, centralization creates complexity, and complexity breeds and hides corruption. And that we see that everywhere. And to your point, Christy, it goes all the way because they're not stealing elections for stealing elections' sake. They're stealing elections for power to execute an agenda that the people don't want. If the people wanted their agenda, they wouldn't have to steal elections. So it goes all the way. It goes to the agriculture policy and to the foreign policy, military industrial. It goes to the funding of everything. It goes to entitlements and Medicaid and Social Security. All of the policy it all ties back. Everything to that.
Is that what it is? Is the goal control over everybody? Okay.
Well, control, but again, not control for control's sake. Control for the ability to execute an agenda. And that agenda, in my opinion, is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It's global communism, essentially. The Great Reset, right?
Yeah. And it all goes back to the importance of understanding the red-green axis and the color revolution and cultural revolution, because they all tie in together. And media plays a huge part in that too, they control the narrative, they can control everything. And so right now they're having a really hard time with that. So thank y'all for everything that you're doing, because that helps. I mean, we've got to have that, we didn't have that for quite some time, and look at the situation we've been placed in. So it's really nice. I guess thank you to Apple.
It's sorry, was somebody else going to say something? That I interrupted somebody.
No, I think it was an echo. Oh, I think it was just you echoing yourself, and you're like, oh, is someone talking? Oh no, it's just me.
Yeah. So I was just looking at the time, and we are just about out of time. But I do think that it is again, I said globalism. I believe globalism is treason. I think there is a knowing and willing component of whether or not you get prosecuted for treason by supporting globalism, right? So not everybody that's taken part in a globalist project, right, is guilty of treason. But the people who move the goalposts, change the laws, and enabled the destruction of our nation for the other nations to rise, the people that told us that we were silly, clinging to our freedoms and clinging to our God and our guns, and for not wanting to be good global citizens and support all of the nonsense that we're told. Those people have the knowing and willing treason thing, in my opinion. The government officials, the heads of the corporations, the NGOs that are, you know, kind of a glue, as I mentioned with the election ones, right? The glue for how this whole thing works, because NGOs are great for governments, right? They let governments do all these things that government can't statutorily do, but they can be done by NGOs. So we actually have, in my opinion, Holly, I'd love your take on this. I think we have national run elections. We have a national elections infrastructure. It's just, so we hear everybody saying, no, Trump, you can't do that. The states run elections, right? States don't really. The states here in my state, any question that comes up about the election system is escalated to the subject matter expert who runs an NGO and works with all of the other global NGO leaders and, you know, election subject matter experts across the nation. They're shadow nationally running national elections from the shadows, and they pick and choose, right? We're going for HR1 if Biden's in office, but if Trump's in office, states run elections. These people need to be ripped out by their hair, metaphorically, of course, and thrown in prison, awaiting their final destination.
They do. It's what we're seeing, and yeah, the Brennan Center, Carter Center, all the things, Atlanta, you know. But it's I talked with somebody actually out of Atlanta the other night, and we were just talking about messaging, and he had seen a tweet of mine, and somebody that he knows, you know, put us in contact together, and he said something that I absolutely fell in love with, and I said, I'm stealing this, I'm taking it, and I'm running with it. And he said, go ahead, but it's electoral terrorism. So we have foreign terrorism, domestic terrorism. We also have electoral terrorism. And he said
which is both foreign and domestic.
Which is both foreign and domestic. And I thought that is powerful. You know, it really is. And so we're seeing it across the board. And yeah, it is. It's not just on a national scale. It's, you know, it's international. There is foreign influence. And so it's a mess. And if we want to, you know, and I look at legislators and people all the time, I say, do you have kids? I mean, do you have kids? Do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? Because if you don't do something about this, they're not going to have a future. And you know, and it takes time. I get it. It takes time for people to get educated and for people to learn. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in and a lot to consume, but it is the reality that we have a mess, and we have got to secure our elections and regain sovereign control.
Great.
Yeah. Well,
Amen.
as a Georgian, I am definitely like, I'm still learning a lot of the information. So like, this was very much informative for me. So thank you, Holly, for coming on. But I know that this is definitely something I probably need to do, especially living in the belly of the beast here in Cobb County. So yeah.
Oh yeah, you're in it.
Mm-hmm. Sure am.
We have a couple of Rumble rants. John in Connecticut says, listen to Tim Hawkins' Christian cuss words. We ran out of time today, but I have it. I saved that link because Christy, you're doing that segment next week. So
Yes.
this might actually go with that.
Beautiful slideshow.
Nice. Another beautiful slideshow.
A big, beautiful.
Thank you, John, for the incredible rant. Very generous rant. And Eleanor 2000, thank you, Ashe and Holly, for all the work to expose and fight for election fraud, fight the election fraud. I worked early in Georgia to preserve the cast votes, but what can I do now to help in Georgia, Holly?
So I would say follow some of our call to actions, spread the word if you're on social media. We are constantly putting out call to actions and different things that you can do. Show up. We need bodies. We really do. I know it's hard to get down to the Capitol. Trust me, I know, because I drive it all the time from Savannah. So it's a very long ways. And I know people work and have jobs, but any one of those things, sharing information, contacting your representatives, showing up when you can, even if it's just a local meeting, and talking to your neighbors and friends. These are conversations that have got to be had. And the more that people have them, you know, the better off we are. You know, we got to educate people continuously.
Absolutely. All right, everybody.
Can you start in a different, like you're in Georgia, but in other states, like what's the first thing you should do? What, like if I was going to go down to the town wherever in Florida, what's the first step in getting involved, I guess, is my question.
Where
Talk
can
to
people
Brian.
sign up for the calls to action and to find this stuff? To Christy's point, like, how do I know when to go to the Capitol? Where do you have something, Holly, where people can find all your calls to action and stuff?
Yeah, so if people follow me on X, I put a lot of stuff out there. I have the Georgia Telegram channel too, and I'll carry a lot of stuff over from there as well. But probably the easiest is to find me on X or Facebook. That's where I post a ton of events and things like that. For different states, you just have to research. You just have to look up, find somebody, look up your local GOP. If your local GOP isn't a good GOP, then find a local Republican assembly or some kind of patriot group. Those are pretty easy to find on social media nowadays. You can also go to your state website and look up like your legislative agenda on your state websites and find out what's going on there. And if you're not scared to go, get you a buddy, make it a girls' day or, a date day and truck it down to the Capitol and just go poot around and ask questions. Or, I've seen people just show up in an election board meeting before in their local county or a county commissioning meeting. Anything you can do to get started. It's really, you just got to make that jump. You know what I mean? And I'll tell people it's no different than if you're switching, trying to find a new church, or if you're going to church for the first time. It can be a little bit intimidating, right? And this is no different. It is. It's you just gotta make that leap and you got to do it. So. But my DMs are always open too. And I know people all across this country, a lot of patriot grassroots groups. I've helped build out a lot of them across the country. So I can always help people get engaged wherever they need to be. So Cause of America is another good one. They have a pretty good outreach and organizations in all different states, or grassroots people, to connect in all different states. So there's people out there. There's people like me that are out there everywhere. Ashe knows a ton of them too. Blow up Ashe's DM. She can help you get too. Yep. So anything that we can do along those lines, you just have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Rule about my DMs: if you send me dick pics, I will publish them with your handle.
Please, please. Can we have a segment? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Don't do it, or I will embarrass them. All right. Well, that is the show that we have for y'all. Please hit the like button. It helps us out quite a bit wherever you're watching us. Please smash the like button. And we will be back here next Monday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, which is where I am, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which we're, most.
The right time.
Most, yeah. You time zone cultists live. But yeah, we've got great shows coming up today. Book of Trump is a little bit later on, followed by Culture of Change. I believe we will have Culture of Change tonight. I haven't heard from Abbey, and I don't know what her weather is doing and everything. So we'll, just caveat, right? But it'll be a good show. It'll be a good show with talking about the WEF and kind of a post-mortem on the World Economic Forum last week. And then you have Baseless Conspiracies happening tonight. I think that John and Zach have a guest, if I'm not mistaken. Jackie, you're muted.
Yes, quite frankly, is going to be on tonight.
Quite frankly, that's right. Frank will be on. Yeah. So make sure that you tune into that. As I said, hit the like button, helps us out. Share the show, and we will be back here next week. Everybody have an absolutely fantastic day and week and month and year, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.